ended up in the latter by 1988, skipping a stint in her country's capital, unlike her two eldest sisters who settled there. At the Charing Cross Hotel, my mum and dad were acquaintances at first, then friends, and then they started dating. She lived in at the hotel but would often stay over at his apartment in Notting Hill. It was small and cramped with a shared bathroom and kitchen, and the man who lived on the top floor often rambled to himself, which was scary when my dad wasn't there with her. When they got married in 1990, it was in her local parish of Curragh in County Clare. Dad had thrown himself into the Irish culture. He loved the music, the people, the banter, and the rebellious nature of it all, and she loved that he loved it. Over 100 people attended their wedding. Her father, Dada, as he was known, gave them £1,000, an awful lot of money back then, towards it all, which they used to pay for the hotel reception. They cut a 3-tier fruitcake from a bakery in Ennis, the nearest town, which was 25 miles away, and danced to I've Had the Time of My Life for their first song. They had moved out of my dad's apartment and into a tiny top-floor flat in Shepherd's Bush by the time their first child arrived. My mum had friends in the area, people she knew from West Clare. Dad had started working at a school in Hammersmith. He got 2 weeks paternity leave, which was good back then, helping with feeds in the night, hands-on from the beginning, doing what he was supposed to. It was a long labour. I was a large baby, weighing 9.5 pounds, which was a lot for my mother's petite 5'4" frame to handle. There were many stitches afterwards, the pain of recovering from those worse than actually giving birth. After all the sweating and panting and pushing and crying that took place in Queen Charlotte's Hospital in Hammersmith on the afternoon of November 12th, a baby girl was born. There were no difficult words exchanged on the day, no heated discussions, no angry tears. There was no questioning of my mother's fidelity, no dramatic hospital walkout. There was simply a new family. But it was not the baby they had been expecting. They could both admit that privately, although not to each other. As she gazed down at the gurgling bundle in her arms, a cocktail of emotions, mixed up with the hormones and drugs for the pain, swirled through my mum's body and made her dizzy. She was floating on a cloud of euphoria, but as she came to, she could see that the actions of her past had invited themselves into her present, and now they were here to stay. She saw the baby in her arms with the mop of charcoal black hair and huge brown eyes fanned by thick, dark lashes, and she just knew straight away. The baby was not his. That night, 9 months ago, it was just one night, had led to this. What was she going to do? What would everyone think? She had a healthy baby girl, thank God, but the baby was not her husband's. On what should have been a totally joyous occasion, thoughts of life as a single mother flashed before her. She knew all too well how they treated women like her in Ireland. After all, it was only during her mother's generation that they had banished unwed mothers to brutal institutions run by nuns, snatched their babies and stripped them of their social rights. The legacy of those stories was buried deep within her country's national fabric, and it wasn't spoken of. You never spoke of such things. What would everyone think? That night, that one stupid, selfish night, which she had long since pushed into the deepest crevices of her mind, was something she had not admitted to anyone, much less herself. It was a secret she had kept under psychological lock and key. But now here was this baby, a living, breathing reminder of that fleeting encounter with a man she had wanted to forget in a place she would not allow herself to return to. And she would have to look at the evidence of that encounter for the rest of her life. The memory haunting her now and forever through her baby. Here was her daughter staring back at her with such innocence and expectation. She couldn't talk, yet, but there would soon come a time when she could. And what would she tell her then? She didn't know. She couldn't think. But she was relieved when her husband took the baby in his arms and showed no visible signs of distress, of rage. He was elated, a daughter. He cooed and cuddled and accepted her without question. But terror hovered above her in that delivery room, an invisible cloud. And who knew if or when it would start to rain? She was unsure of what to do, what to say, whether to address the issue right before their very eyes. She panicked. She commented on the baby's features. How dark they were, and with all that thick hair too. And then the midwife...